do want to use the microphone. If it gets too loud, let me know. However, if I talk like this, you get rid of that. So not a good idea. So thanks for coming, and yes, it's Denise Hansard. So what we're going to talk about today is something that you've already been hearing. It's said in a different way. We're talking about prepare to shine and interviewing hacks. Here's what I learned as I was growing up, that if you hear it over and over again, guess what? It's important. And you're going to hear it in a different way. So, my promise to you is that I'm going to give you everything that I can in the hour that we're together. On your desk, I've already given you a couple of goodies in front of you, a couple of my signature processes, one on fear. On the back side is the clear process. I'm also going to give away a copy of my book, Suffering in Comfort, How Owning Your Choices Will Set You Free. Okay, so that's what I want to do for you. I do want, if you have questions, I love it being interactive, and what I would love for this one, though, is write your question down. I'm going to leave time at the end to answer those questions and get you out on time, okay? So, interviewing. How many of you are this? Where you go in, you know within an interview, whether it's a phone interview or it's a face-to-face interview, that you are confident, you're going in, you're shaking hands, and you have got this. Or are you this way? Like, oh my God! What am I doing? What is this all about? Because I really just don't know. I really want this job. How many of you have the feeling that you prefer to have a job than not to have a job? Yeah, me too. I do this all the time. Even when I, as an entrepreneur, do you realize that I'm interviewing constantly? Right now, standing in front of you, I'm interviewing. Because you could either be my next new client, or you could refer me to come and speak, do a workshop, do a retreat. So everybody is constantly interviewing. Everybody is constantly selling yourself, which is another word for interviewing. Because what you're doing is you're always selling, right? Think about if your children were growing up, your nieces, your nephews, if they wanted something, do you think they were interviewing for that position of getting what they wanted? Yeah, if you have teenagers, please let me stay out beyond. Let me go with girls on this girls' weekend and everything. So what we're going to do today is take you through some very practical ways in which you can prepare yourself for that next greatest interview. Okay? So are you ready? You ready to take that deep dive? Fantastic. Let's look at it. You are the most important person within this process. Agree with me? Yeah. What's your worth? $5 million. I love it. $1 billion. Everything along this. You are the most important person, and guess what? You get to determine who you are. How many of you heard about having and establishing yourself as a personal brand? Okay, great. That's good. So we know what a personal brand is. It's that practice of people marketing themselves and their careers. Right. So how many of you are on Facebook? Pretty good many of you. Have you gone and looked at what you're saying on Facebook, what comments you're making on Facebook? To other people's posts, what you're putting out there, what you're posting? This is part of your personal brand, guys. As we know today, it's a very small world, and it gets even smaller the more that we have electronics, a digital print out there. So one of the things you can do, has anybody ever Googled themselves anonymously? All right, if you go to a Google search bar, I think in the right-hand top corner, there's a drop-down, and you can search. You can click on Anonymous, and then put your name in, and search yourself. See what comes up. Okay? You would be amazed at either if something comes up that you don't want to come up, or if the good things come up. So you have to stop and think about when you're talking about your personal brand and who you are. It is in every message that you post. It's in every conversation you have with anyone, even with your children. How many of you said something to your kids and all of a sudden they've gone and told somebody else? And you didn't necessarily want them to, you know? That's the whole thing. So we have to always kind of be on brand with everything. On LinkedIn, how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Let's hope we all do. Do you have your picture Okay? If you don't have your picture out there, guys, you're missing some of the greatest opportunities. I was talking with a friend of mine, she is also a coach, and I was trying to go find her on LinkedIn. She did not have her picture, and I thought, well, I think this is her, but she had more of a common name. And as we were talking, I said, why do you not have your picture out there? Bless you. And she said, well, I don't want anyone to judge me. I might miss opportunities if I realize that I'm diversity, or something along those lines. And I said, but don't you realize you're missing opportunities because people are going to overlook you if you don't have your picture there? How many times have you gone looking for someone for something, they don't have a picture, and you're like, let me go find someone else, right? That's part of your personal brand, is putting yourself out there, taking that leap of faith, taking the risk, and being vulnerable with everything. So for you, what I'm going to recommend is first Google yourself anonymously, see what's out there. Go back and look at all of your social media, Pinterest, Twitter, anything like that. And if there's something on there that you're going, I'm not sure I want to put that, delete it, hide it. You can do that, okay? Because the employers are going to do what? Yeah, they're going to Google you, I can tell you that. They're going to look and see what you posted, what you put out there, who you are, before you ever get the first opportunity to have an interview with anyone. So, that's your first step. Find out who you are, be your personal brand, always be your brand. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about some interviewing hacks. Some of these are going to look familiar, because if you've been in the first two sessions, you've heard them, but what did I say? It must be important with everything. So, there are 3 interviewing hacks I want to talk about. You heard Jill say this, tell your story. You heard Bob talk about your unique selling points, so be yourself. And then the last one that I really want to go into is about that gut feeling that you have with everything, because I think that one's extremely important. And I see the women shaking their head and they go, what are you talking about? And we'll go into a little bit more. So, hack number 1, tell your story. It was a dark and stormy night. Once upon a time. Okay, so these are some great images for stories, even one-liners that immediately come to mind, right? That this is a story you want to know, and you want to hear, and you want to really dive into. You all have stories. They can be stories that are from the past that have kept you stuck and believing in yourself. It can be stories from your company that maybe you're afraid to tell, or you really want to tell, but you don't know exactly how to tell the right story. So with this, let's look at it. What is your story? And where are you going to tell that story? Besides in an interview. We just talked about your personal brand. That definitely tells your story. But think about your LinkedIn profile. Most of you are on, if not all of you are on LinkedIn. This is your first opportunity for an interview. Employers are out there looking for people on it constantly. Honestly, guys, if you're not connected with me, connect with me. I am connected with over 2,000 people. I get positions all the time. I see positions. I share them out. Okay? Because I know that there are people out there that are meant for the jobs that we get and that you are looking for. And that's what you want to do. So think about your LinkedIn profile. Number 1 is about having that picture out there. Number 2 is being able to say kind of who you are in a very concise way. Third, and if they get past that, because those are the most important things, if they get past that, they're going to look at your past history and some of the things that you have written within your LinkedIn profile. Again, it's not about having the bullets, not even on the resume anymore, but this becomes your resume, your LinkedIn profile. It really is about having that experience or telling your story. Now, I have a master's in counseling. I have 20 years in the corporate world as a certified pricing professional. I got let go from a job and said, thank you very much. This is the greatest opportunity for me. And I have my certification in life coaching. When I redid this, I didn't have this story when I was in the corporate world. I went back and redid it when I branded myself as a coach. And I work with people on mindset, which is the thing that you want to be able to have the most of. So when you're looking at this, yes, I did. I traveled the world. I was with Penwood. I was here in Illinois. I have lived all over the United States practically. And I have traveled the world to almost every country that I can think of. But I was a pricing operations manager. I had 3 managers in the Illinois office. I had a manager in London, and I had a manager in Singapore. So I was traveling. One of the key things that I had to do was to let people know what I was good at. In reading this story, and I want to read it to you. It says, I traveled around the world, managing the pricing teams in North and Latin America, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, and Japan. I had a huge responsibility. That one sentence alone let me know that I was responsible for a lot of people and a lot of decisions being made. This taught me how to work with people from different cultures. What is that saying? Diversity. Okay? When people begin to hear stories, they're going to read into it what you want them to know. And it's not about the bullet point of I can manage people, I'm a great leader, I can manage different types of people from the CEO to the janitor, This gives them the story of being able to say, I work well with people. In Japan, for example, I discovered that when people said yes, it meant they understood, not that they agreed. So I took it down one level and say, here's how I did this in being able to understand people. I also learned how to connect with people at every level within an organization, from executives to salespeople to administrators. So you begin to tell your own story within that. So on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, how many of you have the bulleted points that tell your strengths? We've all done that. It's not. Don't be ashamed of anything. This is Vegas. I'm going to keep it here. It's a sanctuary. It's okay. There's no judgment in anything. How can you go back and take one of your bullet points and begin to tell a story? So what's your story? What's a bullet point that you would want to change and begin to tell that story? Take a few minutes. Take the piece of paper that you have and just kind of write down one bullet point that you're going to list out the strength of what it is. And begin to ask yourself, what is it that you have? As I continued on and talking about this, I said my biggest personal lesson, which is kind of what Jill was talking about. Sometimes we say personal lesson to mean mistake, or what I wish, a challenge, what I wish I hadn't have done, or what I wish I'd known before I did this. And I said, was that this type of job can be all-consuming. How many of you recognize that this was probably a 24/7 job? There were times that I would get calls on Sunday because it was already daytime in Singapore, in Asia, and I would have to make decisions at that time and help them through it. Not a lot, but I would get those. There came a point when I let my career to define me. This became a story for me. I became that person that I was always on call. It did not matter. It was like I did not have a life whatsoever. I was the one that was always giving. I was always there for someone. And that to me was, in hindsight, something that helped me to define who I was, which was not a good person. It was kind of like when I first took a job within a healthcare system. I worked in a hospital. I wanted that job. Oh my God. I got out of my master's in counseling. I could see myself working in an emergency room in a hospital system because St. Elsewhere was on TV. I loved that program. And all of a sudden, as I envisioned and I talked about that job, within a couple of weeks, it was in the newspaper. It was an ad. I went, I interviewed. I knew I had the job. And yet at that time, the one thing I didn't get really clear on was the fact that I wanted to work day hours. This was the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. And yet I wanted it so bad, even the person that was hiring me, this was back in the day when it wasn't quite so litigious, She looked at me. She was an older woman, Jewish woman, loved that woman. And she said, you should be out dating. You can't be working these hours. You're a young woman. And I begged her for the position. And she said, I'll tell you one thing. And this was her personal brand. I'm going to hire you, but in 6 months I'm going to have you on the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift. Would you be okay with that? I went, absolutely. And she did. She followed through on her brand. But I recognize that when I'm letting something in my life define me, whether it's my vision, my career, or my all-encompassing life, letting my job define who I am, I'm sometimes not the happiest person. Talk to people when I worked on the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, how happy I was when I answered that phone and they woke me up. Not a happy person. So I was on the road so much that it was hard to nurture my personal relationships and care for myself. How many of you have been there within a job? Yeah. And your health maybe had declined, or your significant others, your friends suddenly look at you and go, who are you? It's about having that vision of who do you want to be. But this begins to tell your story. So here's the one thing I want everybody to understand is when you're interviewing, they're not just interviewing you. You're interviewing them. And I think that's key number one is for any interview, phone, whatever, in person that you go in and you go, you know what, I am so happy to be here and I want to make sure this is the right fit for both of us, right? That's what you want to be able to do. So even in this story, I'm letting people know that yes, I'm happy to give, but I'm also going to take care of me with everything. So hack number one, did you write something down yet? Think about a bullet point, a story. Does anybody want to share? And I can help you with it. It's a little interactive. It's up to you. Don't have to. All right, so let's go on. So hack number two, be yourself. Remember when I said I envisioned for that job right after my master's on what I wanted to do? It wasn't about as much working in a hospital system. It was being able to have that fast pace, really help people. Because the job that I had was not medical. I had a master's in counseling. Who was I to be around people with needles and things like that? By the way, I hate needles. It was one of those to where I did short-term crisis intervention work. And I loved it. I loved it. So I knew immediately the type of person I wanted to be and what I wanted to be able to do. I also knew that 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. position, I didn't want that for very long, so I was happy that my boss allowed me to do that. But for you, are you looking at wearing a suit and tie every day? Is that really you? Do you want to go in and have that professional look of a dress and a jacket or the suit and the tie? Are you someone that would really like to just kind of roll up your sleeves, not have to have the professional look every day with everything? Maybe you're more comfortable if you have that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you want something that has a more business casual aspect to it. Okay? Only you can determine that for yourself. Are you someone who does want to travel like I did 24/7, wondering what the heck am I doing and whose bed am I in? Oh my, what country is this? You know, and I would have those moments when I would get back from having traveled so much, and it was about 30 to 40%, and it was all international. But I would wake up in my own bed and a panic attack, not knowing where I was. Is this the life you want? Only you can determine who you want to be within everything. And again, what are you doing? You're interviewing the company at the same time than just them interviewing you. So, hack number 3, I really want to go into this on trusting your gut. And here's the scientific methodology behind this. Has anybody heard that we have 2 brains? Yeah, your second brain is in your gut. Most women resonate more with this because we understand it as intuition, that special feeling, the knowingness. Okay? You got it, guys? Yep. Most men go, oh, I just know. I've got that gut feeling. Whenever anything is said about intuition, it's kind of like, hey, yeah, that's that woo-woo out there, and that's okay, but I know I got this. I've read a bunch of it, I know what it's about, and that gut feeling is telling me I do this or I don't do this. How many of you have experienced something like this? Yeah. And you want to be able to trust your gut with everything. When I was kind of jumping around and interviewing, I did an interview locally. Since they're bankrupt, I go ahead and tell you who it was.
Yeah.
Sears. Thank you. Yes. Well, I didn't know it at the time. It's been several years ago. I'd say over 10 years. I went to the interview, and the moment I walked into the building, oh my God, I immediately knew. It was so oppressive. I could feel the energy. It was just like bringing me down with everything. I couldn't understand it, and I almost walked out without even getting through the 3 interviews that I had, which took about 2 to 3 hours. And I thought, how am I going to make this? Because I already knew it just was it. But I went through it, and I did it, and I walked out. I got in the car, and the moment I got in the car, I called the recruiter, and I said, yeah, I don't care if they offer this to me or not, I don't want it. Because I knew deep down inside that no matter how badly I wanted a change in my life, and a change from a different company, I wanted to be happy in it. I didn't want to just go take a job. You know what JOB stands for? Just over broke. A J-O-B. Yeah. You know, guys, here's the one thing that I know. We're all on a journey with everything that we do. So, one step will keep you open to taking the next step. We're going to have tons of opportunities that come into your life. And most of the time, we feel like we've got many ways to go about these opportunities. Sometimes we'll step into something and go, yes, I really want to do this, and you own it, and that's what's going to happen. Sometimes we go, no, I don't want this. I can change my mind later if I decide differently. And then other times we get into that moment where we go, I don't know. We begin waffling because we don't feel like we have enough time, we have enough information, we don't have enough skill set when opportunities begin to come to us. And guys, here's the thing that is. Basically, there are 2 choices. It's a yes or a no. The choosing not to choose is a choice in and of itself. You're really saying that. Many people will say, but I didn't have this and this and this. Blaming circumstances, other people, lack of information. That's what I write about, owning your choices in life, because the journey is going to get you where you have that greatest vision for yourself, and trusting that intuitive nature within you. So own that choice of whatever it is. You can change your mind. It's okay. And remember I said that there are 2 brains? There's the brain that we have here housed in our cranium, that basically is our ego, and the only reason the ego is there is to keep us safe. Within our body, we know everything that has ever happened in our life. Our subconscious houses everything. And it's always there. It's not that we can always pull it up, but it's always within us. And then you've got this intuitive brain within your gut where there are probably more neurons within the stomach lining than there are within your brain capacity itself. Which is why most people will feel sick to their stomachs if they have a decision where they know the answer is no, but they're tempted to go yes. Right? And I had one of those moments just this week. And I'm really good at what I do and put into place, and yet I still have those moments. So I had someone call me at the very last minute out of Maryland saying, hey, I want you to be a part of this book called America's Leading Ladies. And oh, by the way, Oprah's in it, Melinda Gates is in it, then it listed out all of these names, and I'm thinking, oh my God, well, you have to pay for it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me stop. I've been part of these books before, and it's never really gotten anywhere, but my ego was going, wow, what could I do with this if I'm like part of this? And I told her, I said, let me take some time to think about it. She goes, I got to know tomorrow. Is she a salesperson? Yeah, she is. I went back and I asked her questions. I said, how are you going to promote it? What's your reach potentially going to be? How would I know what my ROI is? Or even my ROU, which is my return on you, on myself. Whatever investment I'm putting into me and my business is a return for me. And she got a little defensive because she couldn't answer those questions. And I sat back and I thought about it, had a meeting the next morning, couldn't get back to her. Then she had already called me and left another message and said, I'm going to put you right after Oprah's best friend. It's Oprah, then this person, and then you. And I really know you're going to accept this. Now my ego mind was going, wow, Oprah, it's on my vision board, yay! I want to do this. And then I really sat down with myself in my meditative state, and I went deep inside. Because guess what? Subconsciously, I have all the answers that I need. There is no question that you can ask yourself that you don't already have an answer to. You just have to be open to hearing the answer. We all have that inner voice, which we know is our gut feeling. That aspect within yourself that if you will listen and take the time, you'll come up with whatever it is. It may be an image in your head, it could be a voice, it could be you feeling sick to your stomach. I had the voice. I've learned that voice is going to direct me each and every time. Now when I got let go from that corporate job after 20 years, and of course, I'm feeling blessed at the same time, and on the other hand, I'm pretty scared. I'm leaving somebody who is putting 6 figures of income into my bank account every year and thinking, how am I going to do that also? It was at that time that I had made the decision to go ahead and get my certification in coaching. And to appease my family, because they were afraid of me, I went on interviews at the same time, knowing deep down inside that's not what I wanted to do, until a boss called me who I'd worked with 2 times before. Loved this guy. Loved working with him. We'd had such a great relationship, and I knew he would have my back just as I would have his. And my ego started kicking in, going, well, Denise, what you could do is you could go ahead and work for him for another 5 years, build this business on the side, and then once you get out of corporate, then you'll have a flowing, thriving, growing business. It'll be an easy methodology for you. And I always went down that route. We were setting up interviews. Those interviews got delayed. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my certification in coaching. I'm on a call with my coach. I'm expressing all of this to her. And it was at that moment that I expressed words that I had been feeling and had not acknowledged. And I said, I feel that if I take this job, I'll be dying on the vine. And I went, oh my God, I've never said that out loud. And that's my answer right now, because my gut was screaming at me going, ooh, don't do this. And so I didn't. I stepped back. And now I'm going into my 7th year next year on being a professional coach and a motivational speaker. Because I listened to my gut, to that intuition. Because you are the best person that you can listen to, guys. You have that inner voice within you that's going to say yay and nay. Now, before we move from this, I want to give you some tips on how to enhance your inner voice. How many of you would like to do that? We want to be able to hear it. And in the chaos of the world that's going on today, do we even have time to hear the inner voice? We get so much. We wake up in the morning probably with the first thought out of our head of, oh my God, I got to go do this. And so we're beginning to set the intention for our day of being a challenging day, as opposed to waking up and going, thank you, this is wonderful, I get another day. And then you immediately get into preparing yourself to get to work, to go do whatever it is you do. You might get some exercise in, right? Maybe. And if you don't, you're thinking, oh, I'll do it later this afternoon. And that never happens. That's my thought. And at that time, then you're getting a cup of coffee. You might have time to have some breakfast, maybe, or you're hoping somebody has brought in donuts to the office, or there was something left over. You know, it's all of those things. You get to work, you're working, and all of a sudden you're kind of feeling hungry, and you realize that you didn't have time for lunch, so you'll just grab something quickly and eat at your desk. Yeah, I see the crumbs in your keyboard. Okay, yeah, been there. And the next thing you know, it's 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 6:30. You got an hour's drive home. Either it's via the train or the traffic or whatever along those lines. And then you get home and you're exhausted. You have something to eat. Screw the working out. I'm tired. And oh, by the way, I've got to watch the world news because what's going on in the world? We got to look at what's going on in the world. Get a little depressed. Next thing you know, you're falling asleep on the couch. So you might as well go to bed. Rinse and repeat. Anybody resonate with that? Yeah. So what if when you woke up first thing in the morning, you took a deep breath, you stretched, and you said thank you? And then you just push yourself out of bed. Maybe you gradually want to do it. There goes the earring. I love that. Oh, you held that for me, Marty. Thank you. You do a little bit of meditation. Maybe it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's a spiritual reading. But before you even get out of bed and start your day, you're taking time for you. Okay? It's amazing that when you begin to start your day with you as the most important person in the world, because your world, your life, it's all that matters, you are so much better for everyone else. And I know the thought of meditating for a lot of people of the, it bores me. I don't do that, but I do take 10 minutes. I've made it a practice. I have an app. Who loves apps? I do the Calm app, C-A-L-M. It's 10 minutes, it will talk me through it. It's got a little music in the background. There are days that I force myself to push through because my mind is going a mile a minute, and yet I do it. And there are other days when I end the 10 minutes and I go, wow, let's do more. If I can't get that in the morning, because there are certain days that maybe I need to be downtown at 7:30 in the morning and my sleep is really important to me, then I'll get up and do a meditative walk. Has anybody taken a meditative walk? Okay, great. Have breakfast, very key. I'm not talking about sugary, sweet stuff. I'm talking about protein. That's extremely key to build everything up. Don't eat at your desk. Please take 30 minutes to an hour time for you. If you have a meeting with someone during lunchtime, go for a walk and have the meeting while you're walking. I've done that before. It's one of the greatest things in the world. When you begin to take care of yourself and you become calm and still, as opposed to chaotic, being the hamster on the wheel, you begin to hear that voice. And when you hear that voice, don't let it scare you, because it will. Think about it. You'll be in traffic one day, you're driving, and all of a sudden you hear the voice that says turn left. And your GPS system says go right. Which one are you going to listen to now? Because it's going to scare you. You're probably going to go right. Because, by George, that GPS system, my MapQuest, my way says go this way. And yet, then you get caught in traffic. Or there's a horrible accident you dearly didn't realize. The next time the voice talks with you, go left. Take the left, see what happens. There's some beautiful things in the unknown. Call Joe. Call Diane. Have you ever heard that? I need to talk to so-and-so. And all of a sudden, they're calling you because energetically you put it out there. What you want to do is to hear the voice within you, whether you're interviewing, whether you're doing anything in life, and understand, just like I did when I walked into that one building of Sears and went, oh my God, this is not it. I carried through on my promise of interviewing, but when I came out, I made sure that I cut those ties right then. just like I did on making the promise to myself of being that coach and motivational speaker and telling my dear friend, old boss, I'm not going to come and work for you. I listened to my gut and understood it. It's your vision, guys, of what you really, really want in your career. Your creative endeavor is kind of what I like to call it. Because it's not just about a job. It's about the passion, the love, the gift that you have. You've heard all morning this morning people talking about purpose. Everybody has a purpose in life. Honestly, your purpose, once you understand what that purpose is for yourself, that's your mission statement. That is the thing that will get you out of bed every morning. To be able to drive you to the gym, to work out, to get you into that company that you want to be able to have you interviewing at the best you can possibly be. So what do you want? Because the thing that is stopping you the most is not having the clarity behind it. All right, so how many of you are really in transition of looking for another job? You could have a job now, but you're still looking for something else. Okay, great. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. Determine what it is you want. And what I mean by that is not, I want a project manager position. What do you want to do in the way of activities on a day-to-day basis? Do you want to travel? Do you want to travel just within the United States? Do you want to travel worldwide? Do you want to write that down? Do you want to always be sitting behind a desk? Or do you want to be able to get out and go from there? Do you want to lead people with everything? Or do you want to sit back and write all the specifications out on what it takes to drive a certain project? That's what you want to do. You want to dive down so deep, it's almost like you're going on Match.com and you're putting your profile out there, and it's not that you're just male and looking for a woman or vice versa. It's that you're looking for someone who can make you laugh. You're looking for someone who honors the beauty they have within them. You know, we can all look on the outside of a company and say, wow, they look great. But what is it that you're looking for? You're looking for a company that stands by their ethics. They have a mission statement out there and they know exactly, you know they're carrying through on it. They're following their promise to the world, to everything. Do you want to work full time or do you want to be a contractor? You know? Or maybe you want to step into something else and you don't want to do the corporate world altogether. It's about having that clarity of what you want to do activity-wise, being open to how that shows up in your life, and taking those steps with everything. Does that make sense? Okay, so somebody tell me what they would love to have, and let me help you reframe that in the most positive way that you can. Anybody? Think about one thing in the way of a career that you would love. Let me give you an example. Started with one woman one time, working with her, and she was going, well, I don't know what my strengths are, I don't know what my skills are. And I said, well, tell me what you like to do in your spare time. She said, oh, I love to plant. I love to watch plants grow, to fertilize them, to nurture them. And I said, I bet you would love to do that in a team, within a company, to watch them grow and nurture them and help lead a project like that. She goes, I would. And I'm like, so these are the things that you want to do, to really dive deep into what it is you would love, even if it's what you're doing in your personal life. Because here's the bottom line, guys. You don't have a personal life that you can go and say, oh, this is who I am, and then a professional life where you've got to be like this because this is your professional life and that's all you can do. You can't make people laugh because that would not be professional. You have one life, guys. You have one life. Because whatever's going on in your personal life is always going to bleed over into your professional life and vice versa. So recognize who you are deep down inside and what it is you really want, because here's what I know, that if you can think it, man, this computer is slow. Hold on. Oh, if you can think it, write it down, and then act on it. You are 90% more likely to take action on something if you write it down. A lot of us, I've had people come up to me and go, oh my God, Denise, I've got this book inside of me. And I'm like, great, when are you going to get it out? I said, because if you're claiming to be an author and a writer, you've got to write every day. If you're claiming to be a project manager, you've got to manage projects every day. It could be something your child is doing. It could be something your dog is doing. It does not matter. This is something you've got to do. But you have to get it out of your head first. And it is that act of physically writing that will have you remembering things much more than if you type it into a computer. And if you use white paper with blue ink, there's a much likelier recall, a higher likelier recall. I think it's like 80% you'll recall it more likely than if you use black ink on pink or purple or something like that paper. So blue ink, white paper, write it down. Write down what your vision is that you want for your career. Because once you get it out, then just allow yourself to hear the voice inside, be open to it. So let's look at some of you've seen a few of these, but let's look at some of these top interview questions and what you can do with them. So this first one, tell me about yourself. Think about being on a date. Okay. I'm just going to say, if you can't answer it on a date or someone you meet new, you're not going to be able to answer it within everything else, no matter who it is. So what they're trying to say is, tell me professionally who you are, and how are you going to fit within this company. Remember we talked about the personal brand? Okay? That's something you've got to determine for yourself and determine it first and foremost before you ever do anything else, is to understand who you are, be that person with everybody you meet, whether it is in person or electronically, digitally, and show up that way, because that's always how you're going to be on Tell Me About Yourself. It's always interesting. I've been here since the morning, and I've met several people, and I go, well, tell me who you are, and they'll go, oh. And they stop. Yes, I do want to know your name, but I want to know who you are from the inside. What do you care about? And in this case, it's more about that story that you've been telling, your uniqueness. How many of you feel like you have a unique gift to give? Yeah. Can you define that and tell me what that is? In a concise manner. And that's what it's about. Because you don't want to give your life story. All right, guys, I'm a Southern girl. I don't know if many of you understand what Southerners do, but we tell you our life story, whether you want to hear it or not, standing in line at the grocery store. Okay? So whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to tell it to you, because then I'm going to follow you out to the parking lot and keep telling you. My mother, and I love my mother, but I'll go to the grocery store with her sometimes, and we have no strangers in our life, I will tell you that. And she'll start up a conversation with someone, and I can tell they're in a hurry, and about 3 minutes later where she's going back to when she was age 5, and what happened to her when she got hit by her car at that time and spent a year in a cast. Like, Mom, we gotta go. We gotta go. So this is what it is like in the interview process. As you saw from Jill, you want to be able to tell your story of who you are in a unique way that shows them who you are, but in a very concise manner. Leave them wanting more. Okay, I'm going to go back to the dating world. Okay, you don't give it out on the first time. All right, you want them to come back to you. You want to entice them enough that they want to know more about you. Because guess what they'll be saying to you if you entice them enough? Wow, can you tell me more about that? That's what you want to be able to do. So make it concise. Understand what your uniqueness is and who will fit. Will you fit in with your company? Or will the company fit in with you? Remember, because you're interviewing also. Now then, the next one, why should we hire you? Basically, are you the best person? And will you be easy to take on? How many of you think about that? Are you going to be easy to take on? You want to be able to, again, go back, story style, telling everything. Because they don't want to just hear strengths. They don't want to just list it off and say, well, I'm an efficient manager, I lead people, time management's a great thing that I can do, I'm very analytical. You're just like everybody else, thank you very much, why should we hire you? And this is a tough one, guys. Why did you leave your last job? Okay? Wow, this is the hardest one for people to answer because they want to know, are you job hopping? Why is there a gap in employment? Do